2026 meeting to order. Like a moment of silence, please. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Note to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using the number 1-929-205-6099. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens may join the Zoom webinar. Meetings are recorded and archived by Franklin TV on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. The Zoom webinar detail ID number is 826-8792-9129. Any participants who wish to speak must enter their full name and address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, participants will need to select the raise hand function to be requested to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Announcements from the chair. This meeting is being recorded by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. The meeting may be recorded by others. There's nobody participating remotely. Upcoming events, we actually have a few. The Memorial Day Parade is scheduled for Monday, May 25th at 11 a.m., beginning at the Horace Mann Middle School and ending at the Franklin Town Common. Full parade route is available on the town website. Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 12 p.m. at the World War I Memorial on the town common, immediately following the parade. The ceremony will honor Franklin veterans who have passed since the last Memorial Day, and as well as the town's fallen 45 heroes who died in service to the nation. In the event of inclement weather, updates and cancellation notices will be posted on the town's Veterans Service webpage. We're gonna mark your calendar for the month of June. Weekly farmers market begins on Friday, June 5th on the town common. Farmers markets are held every Friday, June through October, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the town common. A great time. Franklin Restaurant Week is taking place from May 31st through June 6th. All are encouraged to get out, support, and celebrate Franklin's local restaurants. More information can be found on the town website. Franklin's third annual Porch Fest, which is taking place on Saturday, June 6th, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. throughout the Cultural District. Bands will perform on residents' porches and few other favorite local spots. Rain date is Sunday, June 7th. Franklin Downtown Partnership announced the Strawberry Stroll is taking place in downtown Franklin on Friday, June 12th, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Rain date is Saturday, June 13th. Town council hours are being held next Thursday, May 21st, 8:30 a.m. at the Senior Center. That's the most we had in a long time, right? Citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their view for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. In compliance with Chapter 30A, Section 20, the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The council may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Nothing herein shall prevent the town administrator from correcting a misstatement of fact. Is there anybody in the audience for citizens' comments? Just please state your name and your address, please.
Celia Courtright, 213 Peck Street. I'm here on behalf of Franklin Music Boosters and the Franklin Theater Boosters to bring awareness to our capital campaign. As you may or may not know, our Franklin Middle School auditorium in particular has not working lights. This has been, we thought at the beginning of the year that they were sort of working, turns out that they're not working. And this has led to a number of problems with us being able to hold performances there, as well as being able to rent out the auditorium. Because basically our only options are all the lights on or none of the lights on. And if anyone has ever been to a performance with all the lights on, it doesn't work very well. So we have worked together with the school administration. We have a dedicated account that our donations will be going towards to fund repairs to the middle school auditorium to get the lights back working, as well as replace a number of the broken seats. A little bit of the flooring also needs some work with it. And then there are a number of other things that we need to do as well to support the music and theater program. For example, we have so many kids who are interested in theater, or not theater, in choir now. We can't fit them all on the risers. We need more risers. These are things that we didn't know at the beginning of the school year. We know that now. And so just wanted to bring awareness to the campaign. If you go to the Music Boosters or the Franklin Theater Company and you look us up particularly on social media, you will find links to the campaign through GiveButter. You can also reach out directly to either org via our email addresses if you wanted to do a direct donation for that. And it's all tax deferred. So far, we have raised 25% of our goal. We're trying to raise $100,000, and we've raised a little over $25,000. I know that there is talk about getting some money from the state, but I've also heard that it is not guaranteed. So we need to try and make it, this is not a cheap repair. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any, like, upcoming, and all the upcoming fundraisers are on the website and everything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Dave Callahan, 30 Plain Street. I figure you guys would have been tired of hearing me talk, but Jane had reached out, so I said, of course, I'm going to be here today. Obviously, you guys all know, but for the folks at home, just last night we had a joint school committee town council meeting, just already the second one in the 6 months since the election. It was an amazing conversation, long one, but an amazing one, as we're all 16 of the Franklin elected officials together talking about the issues facing Franklin and how best to kind of move forward. And it's fantastic. And there's also a commitment to kind of continue to have these conversations. And they're amazing when we're all kind of working together. We're not always going to agree on every single little thing, but we're always going to kind of come together and talk respectively, work together for the betterment of this entire community. And it was just yet another example of the amazing work that's kind of going on in these council chambers. The school committee continued to meet, though after the joint session was kind of over. We had a couple of great policy updates. One of them was updating the fee rental policy that we have for all of the different school facilities. This is something that Jamie and I have kind of talked about for a couple of years now, and really kind of also highlights back to Celia's point, because what's going to be happening is we're now opening the doors up to outside organizations to kind of come in and rent out some of the school facilities, like the auditorium at the high school and other places. And individuals like schools and nonprofits still kind of have like first dibs, but outside organizations can kind of come on in, rent it for a profit, and that profit is then going to be reinvested back into the school facilities to kind of help out on some of the projects like this, but also to help alleviate on kind of some of the demands from capital improvements. Because when I was here last, I kind of talked about food services, how they reinvest within themselves, and over a 3-year period, there was over $1 million of capital improvements that they funded themselves. We didn't have to go to the town council to compete up against fire and police and all the other demands. This is going to be one more avenue, so that policy just kind of got approved, which was fantastic. Additionally, Horace Mann Legacy Subcommittee, you're going to hear a lot more about us over the summer. But one of the things, one of our members, Ms. Kathleen Brown, had worked with the Live Arts String Quartet. They have a show coming up this Sunday, 3 p.m. at the Historical Museum. Tickets are still on sale. And what she had done, she's working with those folks. They're including some pieces from Horace Mann's period. And there's also in the program, there's going to be some notes about Horace Mann. So really trying to bring his story and all of history to life more, and it's fantastic. And lastly, at that joint meeting, I had talked about the idea of school committee, town council, kickball team. With the Franklin Fathers, they're having that kickball tournament. I already kind of heard back from a couple of school committee members. You know, we got buy-in there. If you guys are interested, I think that would be fantastic to kind of have a quorum of kickball team going on. And so if you are interested, please reach out to me, and we'll make something happen. So thank you guys all very much.
Thanks, Dave. Dave, when's the next meeting for the Horace Mann?
We're going to have one. It hasn't been scheduled yet. It'll probably be in early June. We are going to have, though, there's going to be a walking tour, because one of the things that we had with the Horace Mann legacy was back in August. The schools had voted to kind of name all the school properties along Oak Street and Panther Way, so the ECDC middle school and high school, as a Horace Mann campus. And the folks that are on kind of the campus design team, we're going to do a walk around on May 27th. Just to kind of go and to walk around those grounds, just to kind of get inspiration, because the idea is, you know, we voted to name this plot of land as the Horace Mann campus, but how do we actually, how do we turn that into a reality? And so we're going to kind of go, do a walkabout, get some, creative juices flowing, some more conversations happening. And, but when we kind of have a full meeting, like I said, probably the first or second week in June, I'll kick it over to all you guys too.
Okay, what time's the walk around?
It's going to be late afternoon, probably around 4 o'clock. We're also competing with the seniors have their senior project night as well. So I'm trying to, the calendar's getting more and more full, so I'm trying to figure out where I can actually make it all happen. But I'll let you know when that happens.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Dave.
You
Sorry,
got it.
Dave, could you remind us the date of the kickball tournament?
Yes, June 14th. Thank you.
Jason Joyce, 80 Union Street. I'm here because I this week received a concerning email that allegedly was from the town administrator. I know now that it was not really from the town administrator. The body of the email said click here, and the word here was hyperlinked, and it said it would inform me how to spell the word maps backwards. Turns out it was spam. That bad joke was brought to you by Franklin Fathers. We are an organization based here in Franklin for dads and caregivers, rooted in community, wellness, and advocacy. And building on what Dave said, I wanted to let you know some of the things we've been up to earlier this year and promote some of the things coming up. So we've had members meetups at Pete's Nerd Emporium, GolfX, and Poor Richards. A week from tomorrow, we're meeting across the street at the tavern there. All are welcome. We also volunteer the third Friday of every month at the Franklin Food Pantry, and we're definitely looking for more volunteers to see if we can set a PR on unloading that truck. And our biggest event, what we hope becomes our signature event, is the kickball tournament, which again is June 14th. So we got Strawberry Stroll, day off, kickball tournament, or if it's the rain date, they're back-to-back. It hopes to be a fun, family-friendly, community-centric event. Teams of at least 10, $20 to get there. And I can't help but notice, if my math is right, there are at least 10 people standing up here, or sitting up here. So I hope you'll consider forming a team, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
You might want to think of golf with the age that we have.
Kim Muchel, 4 Barwood Road, Chair of your Board of Health. Just wanted to remind everyone that next Wednesday, the Dana-Farber mammogram van will be across the street at New England Chapel from 7:15 in the morning to about 3:15. We still have 12 appointments available for a woman to get a mammogram, so I will leave the information there. If someone online would like to call, because you do have to register, the registration number is 617-632-1974 to register to get a mammogram. And then the Women's Health Expo is actually at New England Chapel as well on the same day, which is next Wednesday, May 20th, from 2 to 5 p.m. We have probably at least 20 vendors coming, and just so that the men don't feel left out, if you want to come and get information for your favorite female, please feel free to come and join us all. We want it to be totally inclusive for everyone. But we're really excited because this is the first Women's Expo that we're doing, and we have a lot of exciting people coming. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? How about on Zoom land? I'm looking, right?
Doesn't look it.
All right, moving on. Council comments. Councilor Malloy.
Thank you. Just to reiterate a comment I made several weeks back, and you touched on it in terms of the Memorial Day ceremony that's coming up in just a few weeks. Highly recommend people attend, especially the event at noon. The parade is great and a lot of fun, but the commemoration that we do at noon is very powerful, very, very poignant. Like I said, my favorite day in Franklin, so highly recommend people go. And to the degree you can bring your children and have them witness and watch that, I think that's really powerful. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Ken?
I don't have anything incremental. I think that's, I like the reminder around Memorial Day, and just reiterating the communication and the discussions we've had as a town council and with both the school committee and the finance committee. Those who have a chance to listen to those discussions really should take advantage of it. And we hope to continue doing that as we push forward.
Thanks, Ken. Carol?
I don't have much. I was going to reiterate the Women's Expo on the 20th with the mammogram van. I think that's an incredible opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of really good information there, and the capacity for the van to be here and provide mammograms is really wonderful, and people should be taking advantage of that. So 12 more spots, people should sign up. I also wanted to just mention that we had a resident who had emailed the town council earlier. I was just talking to her today, earlier this week and maybe last week too, about questions she had about the number of pets that could be licensed. And turns out that, like, Jamie, I think she worked with you too, but it turns out like the town actually should have allowed more pets. Like we had a limit on, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 dogs before. And it turns out that the state regulations were actually higher. So because she'd reached out, and I think she talked to Max and she talked to a couple of us and worked with Jamie and Nancy, she was able to get the town regulations updated to the state regulations, and the couple of families that had kind of had to go get a kennel license were able to not do that again. Anyway, the whole point of that story is that if I told her that I appreciated her and admired her for seeing something and reaching out and kind of pushing forward to make sure that it happened. And I think she did a really good thing for at least those 2 families, and potentially others that might run into the same situation. So I'm encouraging people that if you see something like that, to reach out and make it happen and see what we can do, because you guys are the residents, you are the driving force behind the things that happen here in town, and I encourage you to do that.
Thanks. Thank
It was good for the dogs too.
It's good for the dogs too, yes.
The puppies. Mike?
I talked about this a couple of months ago, but it's gonna be my repetitive theme. I'm trying to shame businesses with signs that are in disrepair around town. And so this is for, if you have a business and your sign looks like a piece of,
Okay.
please repair it. And I don't know if we have the ability to, legally, I think we have the ability to fine people for having things in disrepair. But at a later date, I want to kind of talk about that. While Franklin's a large town, there's one thing I realized when I've now moved 3 times in Franklin. I lived on this side of town, I lived on the north side of town, now I live close to the Bellingham side. When you move, you really actually don't go beyond much farther than your house. Like, I used to, when I lived in the north side of town, I came to this side of town a lot.
Yeah.
I don't rarely come to this side of town. My point being is that where I live now, I do a lot of travel through the 495 overpass by Stop and Shop. While this technically could be considered a new agenda item, I just want to talk about it tonight, which is, we need to fix the traffic lights over there. They are not on cycle. I cannot get through that traffic.
It's awful. I'm with you,
I
Mike.
cannot, I have to stop at literally 4 lights to get through that intersection. There has to be a better way to coordinate that. I know it's state-owned, so I would like, at some point in time, just bringing it up here, if I'm saying it from my frustration, and I'm sure there's others who are frustrated, that intersection just needs to be better timed, because it's, as a resident who has to use that a lot, it's terrible. And then the last thing is, and I don't know if Jamie may mention it, but I'll just talk about it a little bit. We obviously have the World Cup event happening. I know that we have gotten an email or 2 about how the logistics are going to be about that. And I know at some point in time we will be getting it, but I think that's going to be a great event for the town. I'm a huge football fan, and I certainly will be in attendance for one, if not both of those days that are there. So I look forward to that event. I look forward to getting the update as to how the logistics are going to work that day and whatnot. So other than that, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you with the light. Maybe I'll reach out to Representative Roy. Maybe he can do something on the state side, maybe. And I did reach out to Ryan Jetty about that, because we were going to have that on the agenda tonight, but I think we pushed it out because he didn't have enough information on that.
Yeah.
So we'll, probably next meeting. Max?
Thank you, Chairman. First, I want to recognize and welcome Officer Caleb McLean, who joins Franklin Police Department this past month. He's a Franklin native and a Franklin High School graduate, and I just hope he feels welcome here in the town of Franklin. I also want to recognize the high school library. They received a $150,000 grant for the innovation in STEM space redesign, as well as the Franklin Fire Department, who received a approximately $21,000 grant for safety equipment. In addition, the fire department is also hosting a free hands-only CPR training for EMS Week. It's May 19th from 2:30 to 4 p.m. at Franklin Fire Headquarters. If you want to save a life, it's a great thing to learn. I also want to acknowledge Councilor Cormier Ledger and I are working with the Franklin LGBTQ Alliance to plan a Pride flag-raising ceremony Sunday at May 31st at 1 p.m. And everyone's welcome. I invite my fellow councilors to attend. Discrimination is a very real threat for many of us in the LGBTQ community, and especially in the current political climate. And Pride is a way to show that, we are who we are, and we're proud of who we are, and we want to be able to love the people we love or identify as we identify. And, even if you don't agree with everything, just showing your support and that you care about our community is something that's important to me. And I think it's important to people who can be there today, or that day. Finally, I just want to go over some of the events that I've been doing since our last meeting. I had an enjoyable time at the annual Ladybug Trail Spring Walk. I got pictures of all the different ladybugs. Fun time. I also got to go to the walk the SNET Rail Trail for Celebrate Trails Day. Got to learn about the history around the rail trail. There's some interesting history about that area of town that people may not know. I also did even more walking with the Jane Jacobs Walk. It was hosted by this group, Ben for Franklin, and we learned about how zoning can lead to a more vibrant and welcoming downtown. One example is how You know, if you go to one side of downtown, all the buildings line up sort of around the street, and it feels more like a downtown, whereas if you go towards the other side, you see a lot more parking lots, and it doesn't feel as welcome. And finally, I also attended the Franklin Commission on Disability last Thursday to learn more about some of the great work they are doing. So I just want to, like I said, give you an update what, you know, events in the community and what I'm doing to try to make a difference here in Franklin. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
I have a couple things. First, after last night's meeting, I actually had a conversation with a resident, and I'm going to touch base on something that she said. And basically, she said, because our biggest issue above a deficit is trust. Trust is not going to be established with surveys or frequently asked questions. It's not going to solve engagement issues or establish trust. These have their place 100%, but to solve what has been broken, we must respond to emails, calls, etc. If we can't respond, how can we ask for trust? We are only sending the message of the past, which is your concerns are not important enough to respond to. When the message should be your voice and concerns are important, and even though we may not be able to give you the answer or the outcome that you want, or maybe we can, but regardless, we respect you taking the time to reach out, and you deserve a response and acknowledgement. We read your email and answered your call. Nothing less is going to help build back what is broken. So as hard as it is, because I know, like, for a lot of you work full-time, but even with and this is just a suggestion, even if you pick one day a week that you go through the emails and just give responses, because I've done that, and I've even got it where, like, I'll get back to you and then I forget, and then I get the respond email, I'm like, oh yeah, and I spoke with one resident at least a half a dozen times, and I'm like, I still got you on my to-do list, I just haven't had a chance to get any answers. Just the constant communication is what a lot of residents are looking for, and as residents that were not sitting here, put yourself in that situation on the amount of emails that you may have sent and didn't always get responses from any of them, or only a couple. You wanted the response from every person that you emailed, whether it's school committee, whether it's town council. If they put 9 people or 7 on that email, they should get 9 responses. We just can't do a reply all. So that was my first thing. Second thing is, I found, by accident, a bill that would allow help in funding SROs for the school. And I was gonna say it last night at the meeting, but our meeting was late and we left, and I was not staying for citizens' comments. The bill got basically, I guess, tabled, and they decided not to do it. So I reached out to Jamie and I reached out to Jeff Roy, and both of them gave me the same information, and then I furthered it with Jeff Roy and said, well, how do we get it back on the table? So this isn't going to do anything for us this year, but Rep. Roy decided that, suggested I should say, that we email, I forget who.
Senator O'Connor.
Thank you, my brain is still tired. And draft a letter and send it to him to ask him to put it back in for consideration. And the reason I wanted Dave to come is because I think that the school committee should do the same thing. If we can get him to put it back on the table, then we can then reach out to Representative Roy, and he will sign on it to, like, help push it through. And Jamie said it wouldn't be hard to do the letter.
Nope.
And if everyone's willing to sign it, that we can maybe have it for next week, and that way everyone will be here, and we don't have to knock anybody's doors to come get a signature.
It shouldn't be that hard to do, right, Jim?
It's not that hard at all. It's a one-page letter. It's pretty straightforward.
But if we can get this and it gets passed, that means we can get funding to put SROs back in the school. And it will help offset the operational cost of it from the town.
That's if we can. I mean, that's gonna be up into the State House, right? We'll go back into committee, right?
Yeah, currently it's was sent to study. And to be honest, and, you know,
Yeah.
it's basically dead. There is a way to resuscitate the bill. Councilor Callaway Tripp articulated that correct.
Yeah.
You know, but I think to her point, her and I spoke last night, even if they realize that there's some more support for this, you know, I've seen stranger than stranger things happen. You never know.
Never
And
know.
if you don't get hits unless you get at bats, so you got to kind of get in the game and do it. If you do it, I think, you know, the likelihood this session is probably low, just because they end the legislative session in 2 months. But it would lend a voice from another town to the bill. I think it would help Senator Roush and Rep. Roy maybe sign on to the bill. I didn't research how many other co-sponsors there were, but it would provide some sort of, it would basically create a grant account in the Department of Education for communities to apply to offset a small portion of their cost for the SRO. So it doesn't hurt. I think we all know how important the SRO is here. I know the teachers union has advocated. I think last July they came into the council meeting, Councilor DeLorco and Councilor Cormier-Ledger, remember when Emily and John and a few other folks came in and said we wanted the SROs back. So I think it's a good faith effort. I know for a fact the school committee and the school community support that type of thing. So why not give it a shot?
And nothing to lose.
Well,
You got nothing to
well,
lose. It's
the
literally
saying
like,
is-
it's a 30-minute letter for me to write. I mean, it's not that, it's very easy.
The saying is you can't fight City Hall, but I'm a firm believer is you can fight all of them.
Sure.
You just have to have the loudest voice in the room.
Maybe advocate instead of fight? No, I'm just kidding. I get it too.
I'll
I
do
know,
both.
I know.
In microphone.
I'll go to
The
the
only
State
question
House
being-
and I will make a huge statement. My voice, they don't even need to give me a microphone. I will make sure that they hear us.
So I'm totally in support of the idea of the principle. I think that makes a lot of sense. We want to be thoughtful, though, and careful that what we end up asking for isn't them taking money away from the schools already and advocate, you know, and putting it towards SROs, kind of.
From
So that's
what
the
I
risk.
read,
I think it's. yeah.
it's not.
If it's
It's
coming
not.
from if it's coming from a different
It's like
pocket.
getting a grant.
Yeah,
It's
no,
basically like
so if
getting a
that's coming from
grant.
somewhere else,
Yep.
that we're comfortable with it coming from, I'm absolutely on board. But I think that's the thing to just keep an eye on is, you know, money doesn't come well from trees, as everyone knows. So, where is that resource going to come from? But it's worth asking and it's worth having a discussion.
That's what the committee does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right.
And that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I want to say congratulations to the Franklin Food Pantry on their recent celebration, and was lucky enough to attend with a few other councilors when we recognized their hundreds of volunteers and the thousands of hours that they give to make the food pantry run. It was held across the street at the New England Chapel. It was a great event, so congratulations to all of them, and thank you for the work. I wanted to touch quickly on, it's been brought up already, but last night we did have a joint meeting with the school committee, and it was trying to talk a little bit more about strategic planning and about sort of, you know, coming together. And there was some confusion about the money that was being allocated to perhaps pay for a consultant. So I went back, and there was two pockets of money. We had a state grant through Jeff Roy's office that allowed us to do some marketing and work on the logo. And as a good faith effort, the council took money from free cash capital program to match it so that we could show the state that we were also contributing to the marketing project. So I just wanted everyone to understand, because there was a little confusion last night. So the state money got spent on the marketing project and the logo and the different things that we did. And the capital money that was left over is what was going to possibly pay for the consultant in the strategic plan. But if we decide to not go down that route and take that money back and use it for something else, that is within our purview to do. But there was quite a bit of everyone sort of scratching their heads last night and wondering, and I was trying to come in from Zoom, and I don't think I articulated that quite as good as I should have. But that's where that money, those 2 pockets of money come from for that project. And finally, Jane, I really welcome hearing you yell at the State House. I want to go, and I want a front seat, and I'll bring the popcorn, because I think that would be a hoop.
Not sure they'll like it.
And lastly, just to reiterate again, Councilor Morangello brought it up, but we are planning our 3rd annual Pride flag raising at the end of the month. I think it's very important if council members can come and show their support. I know from the community standpoint, it's a big deal to see that flag go up on town property and show the values of Franklin for a group of people that are sometimes not treated as well as they should be. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, I have 3 things. First, I want to start just basically seconding the point that Steve brought up about Memorial Day. I think it's a great day for our families. I know a lot of us like to do cookouts and things like that. I'm someone who has, since 1999, I've been doing Memorial Day services, not here in Franklin, but other towns because of the reenactment work that I do. And it was, Memorial Day is a day that was started just after the Civil War, Decoration Day, to decorate the graves of those who had died during the Civil War. And just interesting to see over the years kind of who turned out and who's been turning out for this. And I remember after 9/11, that, 2001, the amount of people who showed up was amazing, like at Memorial Day services. And then, the next year was a little bit less, and then it's tapered off. And it'd be great to see our community come out. So I just want to say to everyone, think about coming out for that event at the World War I Memorial where we do the dedications. And I'll be there this year in Franklin. Number 2, want to speak about Jane's, just also comment on Jane's point about the email. She gave me the speech before she gave it to everybody else. And I went back and I did my email. I even went back to February email about the snowstorm and the garbage and all that, and answered someone. So I will be answering all the emails going forward. And then I want to last thing is just to speak a little bit about last night. Very positive event for the town council and school committee. Great to see everybody working together. That's really, I think when we ran for a town office, that's really kind of what we were looking to see. So that's really positive. I'll say there's just one little piece I'll be critical about is that for a lot of us, just an improvement we can do is that before we put out an RFP, if there's some of us who don't want to hire a consultant, then let's stop it at the RFP point. Let's not, once we do the RFP and we put that out there, then, it means that, we want to go forward and hire the consultant. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, but, I'm ready to work with everybody. I think what I'm going to do is work on basically put my ideas on paper as far as what I think that strategic plan should be, what we should be getting out of that, and let everyone, share that with everyone, and you guys give your comments too, and hopefully we can make progress in that, because I think that would be really positive for our community. That's it for me.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, everybody just about covered it out. Memorial Day is kind of special for me, especially around here, because, most of my relatives left here and went and fought in war, so their names are on the plaques up there, they're on the walkways, and so there was, as my father would say, there was nobody here. No, everybody left. There was nobody here when that was during World War II, and they all went, and they all came back, and just went to work the next day, and that was it. It was amazing. But I remember driving my father around when he was older, and like he went by Jerry Palmer, my father's 81, and he knew him very well, and I remember him saying, Jesus, that kid never got to see it. He's calling him a kid even though he grew up with him, you know what I mean? So for the people that didn't make it home, you know what I mean? It kind of hit me kind of funny, it was like, well, he's still calling him a kid because he never he never got to grow up, you know what I mean? So that's kind of special. And I want to say that during this little sabbatical we had here with the Save Coalition had their gala, and myself and Councilor Callaway Tripp and Kumi Ledger, we all went there and we attended, and it was an amazing night. For me, it was sort of something special because I have come off the board because I'm getting into retirement and trying to cut down things, but for a founder, as Jen said that night, you know, sitting on the porch the first night we had our first overdose, there was Representative Roy, myself, Jim Derrick, and her. To see 10 years later what that has come to, it was very amazing to me. It really was. I mean, there was thousands and thousands of people there. I mean, Gillette was filled. It was a lot of Franklin residents, right? It was a great event. It was a great event. Cost me $2,500, but that was all right. Well, I shouldn't have said that. I told my wife it was 15.
We won't tell.
Nobody's helping.
But it was a great event, and you know, I wish them all luck, and I'll always be part of SAFE, but it's just, I won't be doing what I normally do, you know. But
Just a quick question on the Memorial Day. What time do the roads get closed off?
Good question.
More about that, but I
On-
can get you an answer.
I think the parade starts at 10, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's 11.
11?
11.
So probably a little bit before
11
that.
a.m. it starts, at 11 a.m. So
I feel like
would
they
say
close an hour early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
it's an
say,
hour.
like, I wasn't sure if it was 11 or 10, but
Yeah.
10 o'clock's probably the time. That's probably what I'm thinking of, is the road closure.
And can I just say one more quick thing
Yeah.
to Jason? And Dave, I'll come to your kickball tournament. Only I can't run the bases. I have cervical spine issues. So I'll kick the ball for everybody and you guys can run.
Absolutely.
That would also be worth seeing.
Yeah, I
Trust me, I can kick that ball.
You've given me a social event to look forward to now. Gee, this is amazing.
Watch out for the hamstrings. All right, moving on. Subcommittees. Joint Budget Subcommittee. Ken?
Yeah, we held our first session, yeah, again, I'm blanking on the day, I didn't write it down. We held our first session on April 15th, I want to say, I'm sorry, April 16th. You know, the session was really designed to just make sure we all were aligned in terms of the goals of the committee. I won't go into the detail on that, on it now, but high level, you know, we were thinking about what's the time frame, what issues are we going to focus on, how do we actually, you know, how are we actually going to approach the problem that I think we all recognize we have. You know, it was a very good first session. We have not yet scheduled the follow-up, recognizing that though we recognize that there's a lot of work to do. You know, in our next session, we intend to just codify the strategic goal of the Joint Budget Subcommittee and talk through the plan for both identifying the issues, implementing the solution that we want, and communicating that solution to the broader community. So it was definitely a worthwhile first session. For those who have an opportunity, I do highly suggest taking taking a look at it on YouTube.
And you will let us know in the next meeting.
And I'll let you know when the next meeting is.
EDC.
Next meeting is tomorrow. While I won't be there, my other three esteemed counselors will be there to go over the agenda. Other than that, that's the update right now. Thank you.
Communications.
All right, I've got a list. So we met a few weeks ago, and we actually had some really good suggestions that came out of it. We had a great conversation about how this subcommittee is focused not just on communications, but community engagement, and making sure that we are hearing from the town and getting back to them, and really doing some outreach to get people involved and hear some of the voices that we don't always hear, and also to get information to the people who might not be getting it already. So we had several suggestions that came out of it. I'm just going to hit them really quickly because we have at least one that I'd like to bring up, so we're just maybe us to think about in the future. But so some of the things that we suggested were putting together like a one-pager after each town council meeting, just something that kind of sums up quick hits on what happened, things that can be dropped really easily into like social media for people who aren't going to watch 4 hours of a town council meeting to get that information. They might not watch, Franklin Matters interview later, but just something really quick. And so our communications director, Liz, is creating that for us. So there'll be a template, we can just drop things in. So we're going to work on that. And it'll have things that are coming up and links to like the town newsletter and also maybe a spotlight on things or people in town. There was a suggestion to have like the big book of savings on the town website. I think that was Councilor Morangello's idea, so that people can easily find discounts or ways, the tax work-off program, things like that, so that they are front and center on our town website. They can find that easily. Suggesting to have a liaison to the school committee or to share some of our communication meetings, which we talked about a little bit last night. Suggestion to make very short videos of explanations of topics of interest. So for example, when we have the workshop later this year on like a split tax rate, kind of doing a quick little, this is what a split tax rate is, so that before that even happens, people feel like they're a little bit more informed. We recommended that as a town council, we try to attend things like the Strawberry Stroll, Harvest Fest, things like that. And I know that the town is putting together a booth or a tent at the Strawberry Stroll. And I know Marina had reached out to us to see if we wanted to sit there for a while. I think that's a really good idea. I think we should all try to take an hour if we can to do that. One thing we are actively working on is adding additional office hours. So right now, our town council office hours are 9 o'clock one Thursday a month at the senior center. It can be hard for people to get there, or maybe it's 8:30 in the morning, but either way, it's early in the morning on a work day, so it can be hard for people to get there. So we're looking into different dates, times, and locations. So I've reached out to the library and I've reached out to the schools, and they're both finding location and dates for us. So I think we're gonna have maybe an evening at one of the schools, or kind of move that around different schools, and then there's a Saturday at the library that we might be able to do so more people can attend. Let's see, sorry, I do have a lot. So one thing is having printed materials at the library and the senior center, things that, for those people who aren't as involved in like the digital world, if we have important information, just making sure that's available for people where they are. And my two of the three other people from this communication subcommittee have already mentioned, but are pushed to remind people to answer emails from the town. And then there was also a suggestion for us to kind of take different departments in town or different areas of interest, so that people want to reach out. They can say, oh, I know that Councilor Callaway Tripp is the liaison for this specific thing, and I know that if I reach out to her, she will get me in touch with this person, so that they're not just sending out 9 emails and hoping that someone responds. That's something we can think about. I don't know. We also, don't want to say they can only talk to one person. We don't want them to feel that way, but that's something to think about. And then our next meeting is on May 28th.
Okay. I know that you were talking about meetings at night, which I would like, because I work during the day anyway, but I mean, not for much longer, but yeah. But anyway, Jamie, could we do it up here, or could we do it here?
You can use the municipal building. We've done office hours here before.
Yeah.
Most of the meeting nights, most of the chamber at least is usually used most of
Yeah, but we can go to
we can go to the training room. There's also 106 downstairs. That's a reservable room next to the town clerk's office.
Well, that might be something you want to look
Yeah,
into.
and I want to try to do a couple different places, right?
No, but I'm
get
just
around
saying,
town
yeah.
but yeah, I think that's a really good. So thank you for that. That's a good
The town,
suggestion.
a lot of people think of the building, this building is
Yeah.
government. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, that's, all right, thank you. Town Charter Ad Hoc Committee will, our first meeting will be June 24th at 6 PM.
Yep.
So, we'll get going on that. And there's no police station building committee, we don't have anything. So, no, we had no proclamations or recognitions tonight. Approval of minutes, none. I don't, is it?
It just got cut off.
It got cut off, Jamie, I didn't know. I know you're trying to get out of here, but I'm sorry.
Nice
You
try.
didn't have to cut it off.
Was it you that mentioned it? I was hoping you'd go with that.
I'd let you
Really quickly, through you, Mr. Chairman, through the council, to Councilor LeBlanc, the town engineer has already taken note of the request of the overpass. We've been through this dog and pony show many, many times with the state, so the lights up there have been tweaked at least 2 or 3 times over the years, if not more, but it's
For 12 years at least.
yeah, 12 years, so we'll ask, the process is we actually request out of MassDOT District 3, they have to do an actual analysis. If you want to offer any comments as to where like what light, which way, if it's just the backup turning on Pond Street, I don't know if that's the issue, but feel free to, anybody, if you're going through that intersection, send, myself or Mike the comments, because you have to be specific.
Can we do a video?
Huh? You could.
A video from the car?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
I'm
just
stopped.
just not driving. Just right. I was just gonna say.
I can film because I'm stopped all the time, so.
I'm stuck. Right.
Texting and driving.
I'm stuck in the 18 cars piled up going onto Pond Street. In all seriousness, though, we really need some sort of specific to ask them, because then they'll go out and actually do an entire study of the intersection, because there's a lot of pedestrian crossings there. You get the Tri-County School where a lot of kids come out. It's more complicated than people would think, of course, but any feedback any of you have, give it to me or Mike, send us an email so we can relay that to District 3. District 3 is going to ask us specifically where are the hang-ups so that they can look at those, and it just makes it more effective for Mike to be able to work with them. Oftentimes in the back, I think in history, it's sometimes can take a year plus for them to do a study, so the quicker you get us comments, the quicker we can talk to them and move on.
We had that done.
But this is the guy right here. You're lucky he's here tonight for a water sewer extension. He heard the request and he already jotted it down, so. What's up, Buck?
We had that done, they came out once before, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they did a huge.
Huge one.
Maybe right before the pandemic. I think it was like 2019. They did a huge.
I think it's when they put that Starbucks in, they think, remember?
Yeah, that was one of them.
That was
But
one
then
of
there was another one after that.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a bigger one after that, but. And then really quickly, thank you to the Board of Health Director Kathy Liberty, as well as the Board of Health. Kim Wu Chow is a member right over there. This past week, they did a ban on natural and synthetic kratom products. For those of you that don't know what that is, like me, it's the latest fad in synthetic drugs. And so the Board of Health in Franklin is now the 15th municipality out of 351 in Massachusetts to ban those. And on May 20th, every single retail outlet that's selling that stuff in Franklin will be completely banned. So thank you very much to Kim and the Board of Health for their leadership on this. I hope these convey some of the small stories that our government is doing all the time. It may not be something that people know about. I didn't know about this stuff. I still don't really know about it. I still don't even know how to pronounce it. But the fact that they're on top of it, thank you very much, Kim, and to Kathy for their great work. Congratulations to Callie Keating. I think probably parents in the room probably know Callie very well. If you don't, you should anyways, because she's amazing. She was just named 2026 Commonwealth Heroine by the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. So Callie's going to get an award soon up at the State House, and want to thank Rep. Roy and Senator Roush for their nominating Callie. She's a tremendous asset. Truly, words do no justice about how incredible Callie is down at the Franklin Public Library. Budget dates coming up next week. The Town Council will have their 2 budget hearings on May 20th and May 21st. Just again to reiterate, you'll be looking at the original town administrator's budget. Healthcare numbers have not come in yet from the GIC. And so we will not have a revised TA budget at that meeting. However, there will be a revised TA budget based on the healthcare numbers and a few other tweaks, probably on June 3rd at the Finance Committee. So the Finance Committee will look at those list of changes, and then we anticipate the council will take action on the final budget proposal on June 10th. So anybody out there that's curious about the budget, again, now's the time to pay attention. Also, just want to announce and thank CSX and Mike Maglio, our town engineer in DPW. The track is now officially gone on the CSX rail bed, which is incredibly good news. I will also say, and just make sure it's clear to everybody, there is no driving, because we've had a car try to go down there. You cannot get through if you drive down it, so do not drive. There are no ATVs. There's nothing that is allowed on there other than walking and biking. There will be some signage going up asking people to not walk down the trail yet. The grading they did was actually way better than we thought. It was great.
Yeah, it looks good.
It was actually, they left it in immaculate condition. They took away all the hazardous ties and track. But just for public safety purposes, it's really important that people do not use that trail bed yet. There'll be more news coming when I have it about the easement agreement I have with the Department of Conservation and Recreation at the state level, where they're going to be giving us $1 million of state ARPA money for that. I have also asked Rep. Roy for a $3.5 million earmark in the environmental bond bill. My goal is to try to make the state pay for the construction of that entire parcel. There will be a public process later this fall on designing that parcel out. We anticipate a parking lot at the top, which is good for the entire Franklin Crossing neighborhood, some signage, there'll be some marketing. It'll take a few years, but we're asking people to please stay off that trailway for right now. I know the Vice President of Curiosity and Persistence, Bob Amrick, is probably really excited about this, but for the Bellingham Rail Trail Committee, this is not the time to get that excited and walk down that trail. It's just for public safety purposes. And finally, I just want to thank Julie and Mark and Liz and Sandy in my office and all the town staff. And I want to thank your temporary acting town administrator, the Chief of Police, TJ Lynch, for an amazing job over the last 2 weeks while I was on vacation. I just want to thank them for holding down the fort. It was amazing that over 2 weeks I did not get one email from one department head, so that was actually really impressive, and that was the first time that's ever happened. But I want to thank Chief Lynch for his leadership. The entire staff was extraordinarily well behaved. It might have been the gun he has or the Kevlar vest, but I just want to thank Julie and everybody in the office for holding down the fort, and thank you, all of you, for a very restful vacation and trying not to call me. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, don't drive down that. I might know somebody that did that when they were young.
With the tracks?
Another cousin of yours. huh?
Yeah, sounds like done. All right, no proclamation and recognitions, no approvals of minutes, appointments. The Commission on Disability, we have a John Lynch. Clerk will read the appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an appointment to the Franklin Commission on Disability. The town administrator has appointed the following individuals to serve on the Franklin Commission on Disability with terms to become effective May 13th, 2026, and to expire as stated below. The first person is John Lynch of 90 East Central Street, Unit 201, term to expire June 30th, 2028. Second person is Steve Papsis of 124 Highwood Drive, term to expire June 30th, 2028. The third person, Julie McCann of 355 East Central Street, term to expire June 30th, 2027. Motion to ratify the appointments by the town administrator of these individuals named above to serve on the Franklin Commission on Disability with terms to become effective May 13th, 2026, and to expire as stated above.
We have the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Thank
I
you.
think they're here. Just maybe thank the folks. Steve and John are right here.
Thank you.
If you guys want to say anything, you can. Just ready to go to work, right? That's it. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody, for stepping up.
Thank you for stepping up. No public hearing, no license transaction, presentation. We have a presentation on OPEB by Dan Sherman.
It's always fun.
So, are these on?
One is.
One is? Okay, so you can see Dan there?
I don't see
Oh,
Dan.
we're letting them in?
There he is.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
Whoop,
Sorry about that.
all right.
okay, good evening.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
There you go,
There he
Dan.
is.
Very good. So according to Terry, I need to share my screen.
Nope, nope. You're all set, Dan, we got it up.
Oh, you have it up?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Just tell me what page you want, as usual.
All right, so we fixed that. Excellent. So what I'd like to do is move to page 3.
Dan, could you just quickly, with a bunch of new members of the council, just since the last time you were here, we have 7 new members, I was just wondering if you could do a quick introduction to yourself, and then also, could you tell us what OPEB is?
Yeah, what is this thing? Sure. So my name's Dan Sherman. I'm an actuary. I've been working in the public sector, Chapter 32 on the pension side since 1986, when Chapter 697 came out. I got involved with post-retirement medical, which is what OPEB basically is, about 20 years ago when GASB came out with a statement. Basically, OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. And roughly 20 years ago, the Government Accounting Standards Board said, hey, cities and towns and states, you are promising to pay your retirees a portion of their medical coverage, life insurance, some have dental and other type benefits. And you have no idea what you have. And we don't think that's a good idea. And we want you to calculate the value of the promise that you're making to retirees and put it on your financial statements. So I've been doing OPEB valuations somewhere over 25 years because at the corporate level, that had to be adopted under a FASB pronouncement. I was maybe close to 30 years ago now, time flies. And so basically, the Government Accounting Standards Board said, we like what the Financial Accounting Standards Board is doing, and we want municipalities to do the same thing. So every year, there is a report that has to be issued regarding the value of the promise that the town of Franklin has made to all of its retirees. For police, fire, town accountant, administration, school employees, including the teachers. Unlike the pension plan, where teachers are under the Massachusetts state pension program, for OPEB purposes, teachers are Franklin's obligation. So I've been doing the work for Franklin for probably 20 plus years. And every year I come in and discuss what you have for assets set aside to cover this liability, what the liability is, and I give you the figures for your outside auditing firm and for your accountant to record on your financial statements. How's that?
Short overview. Thanks,
Okay.
Dan.
Now you can get into
Yep.
it, Dan.
Now we get into the numbers.
Now we get into numbers. So page 3, and of course, the Government Accounting Standards Board just can't say, these are your assets. They had to make up a new term, so they call it net position restricted for OPEB, when they could have just said assets in the trust. It's the same thing. So Franklin's been putting money aside, and kudos to you for doing that and building up a fund. So this first little chart just shows your net position, your net assets in the trust, which, by the way, is invested with the state. The Pension Reserves Investment Management Group in Boston have been managing your assets for many years. They do a great job. I'm a member of the Finance Committee and Retirement Board for the town of Wakefield. We've been investing with the state since the beginning, and their average investment return has been in excess of 9% over the last 35 years. They do excellent work. So your assets were at 14 million a year ago, actually June 30th of 24. In here, I have what's labeled as employer contributions. If you look on your budget, it's not going to say $4.7 million. It's going to be substantially less than that. What I include in the employer contributions is the pay-go amount that you are now paying for your retirees' premium. So it's basically a way of, it's a notional account, if you will, but I'm showing 4.7. The actual benefit payments that went out is 4.2, so roughly 500,000 was contributed in that particular year. You have expenses. Investment income was excellent at $1.5 million, so your assets against this liability is $16.3 million. Let's go to the next page. So the next page shows your liability. So it was at June 30th of 24, which was an estimate based on the 23 valuation, because we do the liability calculations to the dollar every other year, and 24 was a roll forward year, assuming all assumptions were met. The service cost of $2.8 million, that represents the value of a one-year accrual for all your active employees, because now they're 1 year closer to retirement. They've got one more year of service. There's a value to that 1 year of service to the town, and that's at $2.8 million. And that's, again, just purely for the active employees. There's interest on this obligation that comes in about $6 million. You had a very large loss of $27 million between 23 and 25. And I'll get into details as to why you had a very large loss of $27 million. And I'll get that into that here in a minute. But it's something that I had some discussions with the administration, what is going on, what happened, and I'll explain later on in this report. Benefit payments that were actually made out to the retirees comes in at 4.5. And for those that are sharp-eyed may say, wait a second, Dan, this is 4.5 million. On the previous page, it was less than that. And the reason for the difference is the GASB said you need to allocate some extra money to the retiree liability because what's called the implicit subsidy. When you have a premium, let's say from Harvard Pilgrim, it's one rate for all ages. Doesn't matter. There's no adjustment for age. So you know that older employees and retirees are more expensive than the younger. And so there's an implicit subsidy of younger employees' costs are paying a little extra to cover the extra costs of the retirees, and that's called the implicit subsidy. So on a liability side, the GASB said, hey, you need to include that implicit subsidy in your liability. And that's why you'll see on page 3 and page 4 two different numbers. The total liability increased to $110 million, a very large increase. Further down on the page, the next table, the other thing that the GASB requires is some idea as to what happens if we change the discount rate by going up 1% or going down 1%. So for those, this is something that'd be useful for the rating agencies. For if you issue bonds, the Wall Street will want to see, well, what if you have a bad period of time on your assets and you only earn 6.5%? What's that going to do? What if you make 8.5%, which is closer to where you have been making? What happens then? And you can see it drops down to about $98 million. Assets, excuse me, assets stay the same. And I was also requested to do the breakouts between water, sewer, next page, stormwater, and solid waste. So we just picked up those additional pieces. And at the bottom of this page, GASB also said, hey, what happens if your medical trend is higher by 1% than expected or lower by 1% versus expected? What does that do to your liabilities? And you can see is if your rate of increases on medical costs is lower than my assumption by 1%, you can see the liability drops from 110 million down to 94, or call it 95. If your healthcare costs go up faster than expected by 1%, you can see it jumps up to 128, call it 129 million. So again, this is something that the auditors and rating agencies and Wall Street will look at to see what happens if things don't work out exactly as expected. And again, it's broken up by water, sewer, stormwater, solid waste. On the following page, to top of page 6, is your expense. So this expense is not something that you'll show as a budget item. This is purely a notional amount that goes on the financial statements. It is not dollars in the sense that this is what you have to budget, but this gives you what the annual expense would be for fiscal year '25. And we have, again, the service cost, which is a one-year accrual, interest on your liability. You have amortizations of experience, assumption changes. There's earnings as an offset. You have an expense, and then you have another amortization on assets, which are all negative numbers, which push things down from what it would have been. So the expense on the books is 7.1 million. Again, it's not the dollars in a budget. It's purely an accounting entry. The bottom of the page just goes through a comparison of your liability before and after, your assets before and after, and then the funded ratio. So the 14.8%, a year ago it was about 18%, but because of the big loss on experience, it dropped down to about 14.8%. Now there are many communities out there that are zero, they're not funding anything. There's a lot of communities that are above 15%. My community, Wakefield, we're about 48%, maybe 50% funded right now. We put a lot of money aside many years ago. And as I said, the state has done a great job on investing. Your covered employee payroll is roughly 78 million. In this last number, the 120.4%, gives the reader, and in this case, the auditing agencies, the rating agencies of Wall Street, some idea is how big is this liability in comparison to the town. In other words, how do I compare Franklin to Middlesex County, state of Massachusetts, or Cleveland, Ohio? So this last figure of 120% gives the reader some idea as how you would compare to another community that's not of the same size as Franklin. The following page just goes to the amortizations. We can go by those and go past page 7, and I would jump to page 9. So page 9 on the medical premiums, this is where we really came into the issue of how in the world did the liability go so much higher. And Harvard Pilgrim, all 6 plans that you have there for Harvard Pilgrim had increases from June 30th to 23 to June 30th to 25 in the neighborhood of 20 to 23%. My assumption was 4% a year, so it should be about 8%. not 20. And so obviously with those huge increases in premium beyond what anybody would have expected, that had a huge impact. The last one, the Aetna Medicare, it used to be the Harvard Pilgrim Medicare plan, which was at $290 a month. This is call it $560, a 93% increase. That's huge. So anybody who's, all the retirees on the Medicare side saw, 70, 80% increase in the premiums from 23 to 25. This is an absolutely huge driver. The following page just shows your head count, and you added a number of people, roughly 160 people were added in total. You had 1938 last July 1st. 2 years prior to that, you had 1771. So that's like almost a 10% increase in the population of people getting some kind of benefit from the program. So combined with the two of them, you can anticipate a very large increase. So now I'm going to scroll all the way ahead to, I think, page 13. I got that right? So on the Medicare, whoops, went right by it. There you go, right, there you go. So in here, we have to do something called determination of the capital, per capita claims cost that's incurred. So it's a weighted by age average of the cost of premiums. And it runs from age 40 up to 85, and then it levels off. And there's a change at age 65 where it's assumed that people get on Medicare. So you can see that on the third line, 25,187 and 4673 is the new age-adjusted weighted average cost for non-teachers. 2 years prior to that, it was $20,205 and $2,900. Roughly a 25% increase on the first number and a 62% increase on the second one. For teachers, similar results. It was a 19% increase on the first number and a 103% increase on the second number. The 4363, for example, used to be 2760. So the entire experience increase being so large is driven by those two factors. You have much higher premiums than anybody expected, and you added almost 10% to the population. So those are the drivers. So those are things that I wanted to talk about, and I'd be happy to take any questions or cover anything else in the report. The rest of the report just goes through assumptions and methods and what I like to call boilerplate.
Thanks,
Stuff
Dan.
that'll put you to sleep.
Thanks, Dan. I'll go to the council. Do we have any questions? Mike?
No, go ahead, Max, you first.
Okay.
I had a question, a couple quick questions. On page 4, you said that the plan assets represent 18.12 of the total OPEB liability. Was that for FY, for 2024 or 25? Because later on page 6, it shows 14.8.
It's 14.8, and if there's something on page 4 that says 18, it's a typo.
Okay. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does say 18 too. That's what it was a year ago. Thank you for pointing that out. I had missed that.
And then I just also want to point out that the Franklin voted to join the GIC, and that's not going to be reflected until next year's or the next period's report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And like
Correct.
you said,
Yeah. Any modifications that you make after July 1st of '25 will be reflected in the '27 OPEB report. Unless you have one done early. Unless you do a full evaluation earlier.
And so do you expect that our liability will go down because our premiums are going down compared to the previous plans?
Oh, clearly, yeah. Any reductions in your premiums will have a direct effect on these numbers.
Okay, so we could see our liability go down potentially?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you could.
Okay,
You could, yes.
thank you. That's all I got.
For sure, man. Mike?
Dan, did you explain what the $27 million loss was?
That was my question.
He did?
Yeah.
I missed it.
It was the rise, it was the main driver were the healthcare premiums going up over 20% over 2 fiscal years. And obviously, I think everybody's aware of what's happened to Medicare with the, not just the Aetna premiums, but because of the cuts to Medicare. I think he said something like a 90% increase over what the Aetna rates was. So it was really because of the healthcare premiums and the Medicare premiums going skyrocketing through the roof. Did I have that correct, Dan?
Yep, it is correct. And plus the increase in participants.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay. And as it relates to, it's been a practice every year from a free cash perspective to put about $500,000 into this, correct?
10% of the free cash total,
Right.
correct?
So in that employer contribution amount of 4.7, I'm assuming that is in that contribution? Is that amount reflected in that contribution, Dan?
That's correct.
Okay. So if we didn't make that contribution, it would have been a wash. The amount of benefits out would have equaled our contribution for the year. We would have made headway in our
Yeah.
fund.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd have been obviously been much closer, but you still would have a small difference because of the implicit subsidy that I described where the active employees are subsidizing retirees. You still would have had a small difference,
Right.
but it wouldn't be as large as what you see.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So where does Franklin stand with regard to our funded ratio compared to, say, other communities?
Oh, that's a kind of somewhat of a loaded question. Well, because there's 351 communities plus, there's agencies, there's regional school districts. It's a huge population. Probably the best thing to do is take a look at a report that PARAC just issued Friday, I think. OPEB report was issued by the PARAC, which is the Public Employees Retirement Commission. And they issued a report based on all the reports that they received. What I can say is that I know many communities are sitting at 0. I mentioned at Wakefield we're about 48% funded. I think most communities are probably in the same position you are in terms of 15 to 20% funded. But I would suggest going to the state website. It's PECRA at mass.us, I think is where the website is. But that shows many communities that they've received, and it includes the funded ratios for I don't know, probably over 100 different communities, so that'd be a good resource to take a look at.
Okay, and my second question is, with regards to the same ratio, where has Franklin been in over the years as far as a range, low and high?
You guys have, I think you started out funding early on, like like a handful of communities, and others have caught on. So I gotta believe you guys were, at the beginning and putting money aside. Something I applauded, many years ago, before this group. Maybe different members, but same organization. One of the things that I pointed out back then, and I'm feeling it right now with Wakefield, because as I said, I'm on the finance committee, is that when you put this money aside and you've got over $16 million, it also becomes like a reserve. Not quite a stabilization account, but it's like a reserve. Wakefield, I mentioned, we've been putting money aside, and this year, for the fiscal year 27, we have a budget crisis, which is not uncommon. You've probably heard where communities such as Lexington, Watertown, Marblehead, Winchester have laid off people, cut back. In Wakefield, we had a $5 million shortfall in front of us. We just had town meeting last week, and instead of putting $500,000 in, we're actually going to take $1.5 million out of our fund. We've got about $48 million in our account because we can't balance the budget without huge layoffs. So we decided to take some money out to pay retiree benefits. So our healthcare account got split between tax levy, major portion still tax levy, and $1.5 million is coming from available funds, in this case, our OPEB trust. So if you do run into problems with your budget, just remember that out of that $16.3 million, and you're paying, over $4 million to retirees, if you say, geez, maybe we can pull $500,000 out of the OPEB trust to help us out in other areas of the budget, it's an opportunity. There are risks with doing that. Risk in terms of your rating. If the rating agency comes in and sees you not funding it, and this is something I articulated to our town meeting, is that, yeah, we're going to pull $1.5 million to balance our budget, but we drop from AAA to AA+, and this could hurt us further next time we want to do a borrowing. So there is a risk of pulling that money, but if push comes to shove, it is something that's available.
Really quickly through the chair, just for everybody here, what we've done here is instead of pulling out of the trust, we've obviously cut the entire OPEB contributions we've made for the last 2 years, right? So instead of pulling money out of the trust, which to Dan's point is a bond rating issue, I think the Finance Committee this year recommended to cut the entire contribution. It was $150,000 that was originally in my budget, and they chose to cut the remainder of that to propose to you to basically zero out the OPEB contribution that's in the operating budget. As everybody remembers, our policy was to add $50,000 a year to the OPEB number in the operating budget, and then to do 10% of the free cash total each year. Over the last 2 or 3 fiscal years, we've contributed very, very few dollars to the trust. I think there was 1 year where you guys did do the free cash a few years ago, but in the budget cuts of the last 2 years with the failed overrides, we cut basically right now we'd be looking at $1 million in the operating budget contributing to the OPEB trust. And I would also note that we're getting an 8.8% aggregate return since we've been in the state, since we've been investing our money in the state accounts. So at an 8.8% return, you're getting an enormous return on that money, right? To Dan's point earlier, he said Wakefield was like at a 9% return. We're just a hair below that at 8.8. That's a pretty good return on your investment on your money. But I also respect the fact that it saved a lot of critical jobs, right? So I mean, it's kind of a shell game at some point. So we've never in Franklin, since we've started this, and I wasn't here when it was started. I think Councilor Orko might have been the first year, I think, 2010 or so. We've never drawn any money out of the OPEB trust.
I don't remember.
But I will say our standing relative to other communities is definitely equaled out. We used to be up in the top 10% of communities in Massachusetts that were prepared. And to Councilor Grella's question, which many members have asked over the years, now we're slipping down. And we're slipping down because you're getting all of these factors kind of confluencing at once, right? We're not depositing money. We're not getting the 9% return on our investment. We're not contributing any money. And also healthcare and Medicare are going and spiking, going through the roof. So the obligation we have to pay is there. But to Councilor Morangello's point, at some point, that could flip, right? If GIC rates are lower, or if healthcare rates nationwide stabilize, our projections could improve, right, in a couple of years or so.
Yeah, I might add, by not putting the monies in, one of the things that I have to do, part of the calculations, is that you have to determine the discount rate, and we're using 7.5%. If you continue to not put the money in, and this is the same issue with Wakefield, because we're not putting the money in, I may be forced to lower that discount rate from 7.5% to something less than that. And if that happens, then the liability goes up because now you're earning less money in the eyes of Wall Street and the rating agencies. So there's a risk of not putting money in the sense that it may increase your liability that shows up in your books.
When are we supposed to be fully funded?
Dan, do you know the year they targeted to be fully funded? I know they changed the date all
They
the time.
changed it since I started.
There is none on OPEB. There's no date.
There's no date now? I know it was like.
Yeah, it never was.
They're never, yeah. You and I are thinking both of the pension.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm thinking of the pension, I'm sorry.
Yeah, pension is 2040.
Yeah, that went up 10 years.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
2030.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. I just have a question. Is there a year that we might be concerned just based on the, if we sort of took a poll of the employees of the town when we may have a larger amount retiring that we may face an issue with this fund? I mean, I know we look at averages, but, I just wondering if we've done that study to say, yeah, come 2040, we're going to have a real issue because we have a gigantic number of people retiring or expected to retire. Have we done that work?
It's actually the opposite of that. You're part of Norfolk County, correct, the retirement system? And I haven't looked at their latest report, but last I recall, they were on track to become fully funded in 2032 or 2034, something like that. And when that happens, your contributions to Norfolk County retirement system are going to drop like a rock. Because probably 80% or 85% of the contributions you're putting into Norfolk County retirement is for their unfunded liability. So then, once they're fully funded, you'll only have to pay your normal costs or your one-year accrual. So what many communities are doing is saying, we're going to put a minimal amount into OPEB, and then when the retirement is fully funded and we see huge savings, millions of dollars in savings, some or most or at least a great portion of that savings will go into OPEB, and then you'll start funding that more aggressively. So I think for Franklin, if you can hold steady with a zero on your contribution and not pull money out, and just wait for the day when Norfolk County becomes fully funded, then you'll have an opportunity to take that savings and put it into the OPEB trust.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, it's 2036 when we're supposed to.
36 with there?
So
Okay.
it's 10 years away, yeah.
Well, you'll still be here.
I'll be on Beaver Street.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
just one quick question. Thank you for the presentation. This is very helpful, especially the last part of the discussion that you had, Dan. What are we paying out roughly every year from the account?
Well, nothing from the account, but what you pay to your retiree premiums is roughly $4.2 million.
So explain that to me. What does that mean if we're not paying it from this account? That 4.2 million is coming from the operating budget for?
Yes, yeah, it's operating
retirement
budget.
benefits? Okay. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. When you mentioned that number before, I wasn't sure where that came from. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody else? All good? Dan, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Okay, that's done. Moving on, legislation for action. First legislation action is zoning bylaw amendment 26-946, a zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin, chapter 185, attachment 7, part 6, use of regulation schedule, second reading. Clerk will read it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the Town of Franklin zoning bylaw amendment 26-946, a zoning bylaw amendment to the code of the Town of Franklin at Chapter 185, Attachment 7, Part 6, Use Regulation Schedule. Be it enacted by the Franklin Town Council that Chapter 185 of the Code of the Town of Franklin is hereby amended by the following additions and deletions to subsection 185, Attachment 7, Use Regulations Schedule, Part 7. And the foregoing zoning bylaw amendment shall take effect in accordance with the Franklin Home Rule Charter and Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5.
Motion to approve zoning bylaw amendment 26946.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just a question. The 26, 946, 947, 948, and 949, these are the ones that just had to be cleaned up? Is that what I'm looking at?
These are the ones we voted on before.
Before, they just had to do clean up, like the verbiage? Okay.
Whenever you see a second reading, we've already seen it once.
Okay.
Yeah, twice.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
No.
What?
Roll call. Roll call.
Didn't say roll call. Majority. Oh, roll call, yeah. Roll call.
It's a two-thirds majority.
Okay, roll call vote on this zoning bylaw amendment 26-946. Counselor Ojukwu?
Yes.
Counselor Morangelo?
Yes.
Counselor Malloy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Counselor Griffith?
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes.
9-0, sir.
Moving on, zoning bylaw amendment 26-947, a zoning bylaw amendment to the Code of the Town of Franklin, Chapter 185, Attachment 9, Schedule of Lot Area, Frontage, Yard, and Height Requirements. This is the second reading.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve zoning bylaw 26947.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor? Oh, majority, roll call vote?
Two-thirds majority.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Going as fast as I can. Where did that go? We're on 26-947, right?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, this will be a roll call on the second reading for zoning bylaw amendment 26-947. Counselor Ojukwu?
Yes.
Counselor Morangelo?
Yes.
Counselor Malloy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Counselor Griffith?
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Counselor Chairman?
Yes. Motion passed. Moving on, zoning bylaw amendment 26-948, zoning bylaw amendment to the Code of the Town of Franklin, Chapter 185, Use Regulation Schedule, Attachment 2, Attachment 3, Attachment 4, Attachment 7, and Attachment 8. This is the second reading. Two-thirds majority roll call vote is required.
Make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve zoning bylaw amendment 26948.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call vote. Clerk will read the roll.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote to approve zoning bylaw amendment 26-948. This is a second reading. Counselor Ojukwu?
Yes.
Counselor Morangelo?
Yes.
Counselor Malloy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Counselor Griffith?
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
9-0.
Motion passed. Zoning bylaw amendment 26-949, a zoning bylaw amendment to the Code of the Town of Franklin, Chapter 185, Attachment 9, Schedule of Lot Area Requirements. This is a second reading. Clerk will read the...
Make a motion to waive the reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve zoning bylaw amendment 26949.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Clerk will read the roll call vote, two-thirds required.
1 second, Mr. Chairman. We're on 26-949, right?
We're on to 950.
Well, no.
I'm sorry,
No, we're on
949.
949.
I already crossed 949.
Yeah, I did too.
Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote to approve zoning bylaw amendment 26-949 as its second reading. Counselor Ojukwu?
Yes.
Counselor Morangelo?
Yes.
Counselor Malloy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Counselor Griffith?
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes, motion passed. Bylaw Amendment 26-950, a bylaw amendment to the Code of the Town of Franklin at Chapter 139, Section 139-14, Sewer System Map. This is the second reading.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve bylaw amendment 26950.
Object for 1 second?
Yes.
If I could. We did get an email earlier today from a resident who had a question about this. I think we addressed it the last time we went through the first reading, but I just would like to raise that and make sure that we're answering the gentleman's, I think, question. And Jamie, this might be for you and your team. The resident has written in and he asked the town council to review the infrastructure implications of the proposals, the water and the sewer for this project. Wants to be assured that we're not putting any additional costs on ratepayers based on the project that we're doing here. From my understanding last time, that was not the case, that the developer was paying for, I want to say 8-inch and 12-inch pipes.
Speak to it, Mike.
I thought they were paying all the way to the...
That's the way I remember reading
what I
it.
remember.
That's what's in the documentation too, but to Jane's point about responding to people, I just want to make sure.
Through the chair. So all of the proposed work to extend the water and sewer for this particular project will be done by the developer. He'll pay for all the work. In addition to that, they're also going to be doing some work within the town system of a value of about maybe $60,000, and in addition to that, contributing about another $35,000 on top of that to DPW for other system improvements in that area. So all the cost is by the developer, in addition to about another $95,000 worth of value to the town.
That's what I recall from the last reading and the documentation that was in here, but I just wanted to specifically raise it to assure the resident that the town is not going to take on any additional cost for this. Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, we waived the reading, we already waived the reading.
Okay.
And Councilor Malloy seconded, and we had a discussion.
Okay.
I don't know if I did that out of order or not, sorry. But
No, well, you were seconded. I heard it.
Was there a vote on waiving the reading? I don't believe there actually was a
Yeah, I
vote
don't
because he
think we did on
objected.
this one.
I thought we voted.
No, we voted.
I think we voted to waive the reading. I don't think we voted to open the discussion.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, we did
That's right.
vote on it.
You did.
We waived it. We didn't open discussion. We didn't.
Well, he seconded, so then it was automatically go to discussion.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna vote on Amendment 26-950. It's a roll call vote,
Majority. This is just a majority.
Majority.
Because it's a general bylaw, not a zone.
Yeah, just a one-time, like a one-time thing, right?
So can I just ask for,
It's distinguished, zoning is generally two-thirds, general bylaws are just the roll call. Majority.
okay, so is it a typo in my document where it says 25-950?
We
It
just picked that up.
should be 26, right?
Yes.
I'll make a little note to Nancy that it's been edited. She'll still complain to me, but that's okay. So, Mr. Chairman, this is a roll call vote for 26-950. To approve, it's a second reading for sewer system. Counselor Ojukwu?
Yes.
Counselor Mongello?
Yes.
Counselor Malloy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes.
Counselor Griffith?
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Counselor Grella?
Yes.
Counselor DeMarco?
Yes. Moving on, bylaw amendment 26-951, bylaw amendment to the code of the town of Franklin, chapter 179, section 179-9.1, water system map, second reading.
Vote, motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve bylaw amendment 26-951.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and second discussion on this? No discussion?
Sorry, the only thing I'll point out, similar to what Councilor Malloy mentioned, is this was the other one that was included in that email,
Right.
so,
It's the same.
you know, just capturing it there.
Thank you.
Okay. All set?
Wait, this has to be roll call as well?
Yes.
Roll
Yes.
call majority
Okay.
vote.
But it's the last one for roll call.
Couldn't just get me a stamp? Okay.
Now, look who's driving now. Look who's driving now.
Thanks, buddy. You didn't have to interrupt the meeting, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Always a parent.
It's all right. Raised him right, he brought me my keys, that's good.
A good boy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is, Mr. Chairman, bylaw amendment 26-951, an amendment to the water sewer map. Roll call, Counselor Ojukwu.
Yes.
Counselor Mongello.
Yes.
Counselor Malloy.
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Yes.
Counselor Griffith.
Yes.
Counselor Callaway Tripp.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Counselor Grella.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yeah, yes. Motion passed. Resolution 26-21, amendment to the 2026 Town Council meeting schedule. Clerk, will read the
Give me a second, Mr.
resolution.
Chairman.
Trying to slow down.
I know.
You know what I mean, brother?
I can finish that one after. So, Mr. Chairman, this is an amendment to the 2026 schedule for town council meetings, and the only change is deleting October 7th and rescheduling it to October 28th. This resolution shall become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Discussion, anyone have an issue with this?
What's the reason? Are we changing the date?
There was, I forget what the reason was.
What's the
What was
reason?
it?
It's me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Just say that.
I just wanted to say it publicly.
Yeah, that's fine. Give you the quick
Throw him under
answer.
the bus.
Under the bus, so.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Yeah, we have to make a motion before we
Yeah.
can discuss. Motion to approve resolution 26-21. Second.
Discussion.
What's the reason?
Dave Callahan last night, me.
Okay,
All my fault.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Was there any opposed?
No vote.
I know.
He wants a reason.
Close to Halloween, right?
Resolution 26-22, gift acceptances Veteran Service Department, $500. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the Town of Franklin Resolution 26-22, acceptance of gift for the Veteran Service Department. Whereas the Veteran Service Department has received a generous donation in the amount of $500 to be used at the discretion of the department as follows. Donation summary. Franklin Veterans Department Gift Fund for $500. Donation to be used at the discretion of the Veteran Service Department through the Franklin Veteran Service Gift Fund in support of local veterans and their families. Donor information is included in the May 13th, 2026 Town Council meeting packet agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Franklin, on behalf of the Franklin Veteran Service Department, gratefully accepts this generous donation to be used at the discretion of the department for the purposes noted above. This resolution shall become effective accordance to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Motion to approve Resolution 2622.
Second?
Mr. Chairman?
I have a motion and a second. Councilman Doyle.
I just wanted to thank Pat and Lori Doyle for this generous contribution to the Veterans Department.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you, Doyle family.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Future agenda items.
I would like to tee up an item at some point soon around communication expectations. Jane mentioned it earlier today. We've kicked it around several times. I don't want to get into the topic right now, but I think it's worth council's time, and maybe we put a 20-minute limit on the discussion for it. But I think we need to be a bit more organized about how we're going to handle emails to all town council members, what steps we're going to follow on that, so we all have some understanding and expectation about what will happen when those emails come in, rather than all 9 of us answer, or none of us answer, or 3 answer with different messages, or somebody else forwards it to somebody else, or whatever. It just seems a little clumsy. I'd like to have a discussion about what we can do to tighten it up.
Few people answer it, and those few people call us or something like that.
Whatever it is,
Whatever it is
maybe I
like
can
that.
like prepare something to kind of offer up a couple of suggestions. I have some thoughts, but
I'd offer a suggestion to have the committee work on it, and then make a proposal, and then we can discuss it. The subcommittee.
Okay.
The communications subcommittee.
I would actually add that, that could be included as part of the communications subcommittee, because
That's what
okay.
it's-
Oh, I thought you said
Yeah,
just get a new committee. I'm like, yeah.
No, that's
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Mark?
I just want to specifically, email responses is driven by the open meeting law, so they need to
Right,
be
they know
aware of
that.
And then, just following that comment, I wanted to have the same discussion, but thinking about the various, as we think about various venues that we're going to try to interact with the community in. So if we start using the library as well as the senior center, so just have that be part of that discussion as well.
I don't have any, I gave my whole list in my
Yeah, you'd be good,
subcommittee.
kid.
Yeah, you heard that from me today.
Council LeBlanc?
It kind of coincides with our water and sewer map, and I had mentioned this during the first reading, and maybe this is something for the Economic Development Committee, or maybe it's here. I do think that we need to come up with a standardized, maybe process as it relates to making the water sewer connection, i.e., what will a developer also contribute to the infrastructure beyond just what they're doing right now? For this one, we heard they gave $95,000, but I do think we need to come up with a kind of a method to it. If I'm want to connect a 25-home subdivision to the water and sewer, that's a little bit different than a onesie-twosie. So I do think we need to come up with a kind of a sliding fee schedule. I mean, the land is very valuable here in Franklin. You have a piece of land and you build a house on it, it can become profitable. So I'd rather it be somewhat standard rather than this very arbitrary thing. So I don't know if that's necessarily, it could be considered part of economic development.
I would say so, yeah.
It could be just part of this broad board, but, so I just think that'd be a worthwhile effort to do, so it's not haphazard, that's all.
That's pretty good idea, Mike.
I just want to reiterate the Sustainability Committee approaching that after the budget discussions of winding down, as well as I think we also need to eventually hunker down and choose a time for an executive session in the future. I'll, let that stand where it is. But I think that's something that we have to address when it need, as soon as we can, so.
Jane?
Nothing at this time.
The only thing I had, Jamie, a few months ago, I had asked if we could have the investment portfolio manager come make a presentation to us, just so we could see where the town's money was being invested, so we could have an idea. Do we, I know you got a lot going on, but do we?
No, I think it's, I mean, we're happy to do that. It's just, I think the only thing is you got like stacked, agendas. I think where does that fall on the priority ladder? I think you got 2 budget hearings coming up. I will guarantee, basically May and June are shot. Because you're gonna have the budget on the 10th, and then any excess free cash you have to spend on June 17th.
Yeah.
Before the end of the fiscal year. So
Yeah.
and just to give you an idea, while we're on the discussion, because we get some extra time, your July meeting has couple street acceptances. You've got the EPA is coming in for 300 Fisher Street, which many of you may not know what that means, but it's a pretty sizable Superfund site that's actually been getting cleaned up, and they need to start a public process. And then your August meeting is probably going to end up being executive session, so I think if you could wait to maybe the fall, but I think it's just hard to, that's probably that's probably a pretty long meeting. So I'll talk to the chair and figure out where we can fit it in and talk to the investment folks.
Okay, I just didn't want it to get forgotten about, that's all.
No, it's on our list. It's just
Okay.
trying to figure out how to manage
I know.
the time of the meetings.
Meet longer.
It's okay. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
So I think we started in November. One of the first things we talked about was the tax hearing, and it'll be coming up again, and so. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have placeholders. I have 2 workshops with the Board of Assessors in September, October range, kind of planned out for you guys to basically take almost the whole meetings. You'll do some appointments and other stuff, but if I figured 2 meetings, Councilor Grella, is that 2 full?
I don't think that's, yeah.
It should be.
And that's well before the tax rate hearing,
Yeah.
right? So you can kind of it's kind of giving you an on-ramp to the tax rate hearing in December, so.
But is that enough time if we wanted to explore something different? If we explored a split tax rate, and we have those discussions in September, is that enough time to hold some public hearings with some developers and others? I don't know the sequencing of that. I just wonder that might be, all of a sudden it's November again or December and we have to vote on a tax rate, so.
My only question on that would be that a split tax rate is not something that we're going to be able, that if we were looking to implement it, don't know if that's something that we could implement quickly. That would, like we could, if we knew today that we wanted to do a split tax rate, I think there would still be a long educational period required. That's my impression of it.
I don't
know if that would.
I think you can do it. There's a pretty, to your point, Councilor Juku, there's a pretty heavy, the feedback isn't all going to be positive, right? That it's going to be a contentious issue. I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying that, to his point, I think we can do it, I believe, in December, but still the execution of that afterwards takes a long time. And I know you'll be getting a lot of emails about it, one way or the other, both from residents as well as businesses. So, we can talk about this right now, but I think the question for all of you is, are you comfortable with 4-hour meetings, pretty standard across the board? You got a lot of stuff to do. I just outlined, your May is going to be budget hearings, your June is going to be almost all budget for those 2 meetings. You got 1 meeting in July. I had the Sustainability Committee. We have to accept a parcel of land up at Forge Park, the 300 Fisher Street. The audit presentation tonight got bumped till July for the annual audit. And then you're into August, and I can guarantee your executive session will not be short. Then you're into September, and I just, to kind of lay out, and I'm welcoming any feedback here. We were trying to get the police station building committee in, as well as we just started our working group today internally on the Davis Thayer RFP, and I'm working on the RFP for any lease or sale of 270, so we're getting into all this stuff. The Representative Roy and Senator Roush have confirmed their annual visit in September. You're going to have to do several swearing in and pinning ceremonies for fire and police. And then I had October 14th, October 28th, those October meetings as kind of pigeonholed. But I do agree, if you're looking for research, if you're looking for questions, if you're looking for follow-up, the October meetings probably would be a short time frame, because then it's just November before you have to have the tax rate hearing.
That's what I'm saying.
And then
yeah.
November, you've already got a budget recap meeting that you're gonna have scheduled. It's only May and we're talking November, so I'm welcoming feedback. If you want me to reshuffle, or, I don't know how to, I'm just trying to give some feedback to have you understand, because I do agree, I understand that concern, but you guys gotta make some choices. Sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you saying, so August 12th, that is only going to be executive session, is that what you're saying? Or it's going to be,
Yeah.
can we do that, have like no public hearing that month? Is that, I thought we were supposed to have a public.
No, you
or
just
not
have a
public
meeting.
hearing,
You
a
have to
public
open
meeting.
Just
an
have a
open
meeting.
session first,
We
and then
open
go
it.
into the executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, the executive session, you technically start and open, you go into executive.
Okay.
And that's your one meeting for August. That'll probably take the whole thing,
Okay.
at a minimum.
So,
Basically, we open, we have
Yeah.
citizens' comments,
Yeah.
council comments, we close the open and go to executive.
Yep.
do we have comments? Do we, are we required to have citizens' comments when we do that?
You're not required, I just, it's, a few months obviously early, so I'd be working with Bobby,
Yeah.
sometime over the summer to
We don't
figure out
have
what
to,
that is.
but-
Yeah. Sometimes it just, you're gonna want all the time possible that night for that.
Yeah.
So as it relates to the tax rate setting, this was gonna be something that we were gonna take up in the economic development.
Right.
I've actually already started pulling the data. That's actually what I was doing last night, sitting back there. So that we can actually bring the assessors in and start it. Now, while all 9 of us will not be there, there'll be 4 of us there, it'll lay the groundwork so that it's not this laborious session. So I'd rather tackle that in the economic development, because I think the tax rate is part of economic development. It can either kill it, or it can spur it, or whatever. So, and yes, that may mean the Economic Development Committee meets twice a month in the month of July and August. I'm fine with doing that. I hope the rest of the committee is as well. So I'm speaking for them right now. But I do think if we can lay some of that groundwork so it's not this laborious, and we can provide the summary of what we're doing. And that, obviously, anyone can watch those meetings. But that is the goal, one of the things I would like to, and I think we talked about that as one of our goals in the thing too, so. But to get ahead of it, so we're not coming to December and asking those questions.
Right. I think that's an excellent idea. My only comment, my only point initially was, whatever decision we make on that split or no split.
It's not turn the key.
Yeah,
Right.
there's going to be, there needs to be community, buy-in and just,
Yeah.
informing.
Has to be.
That's gonna take time. We cannot expect that to be a quick thing.
I also just wanted to say, I think there is a split tax rate issue, but I also think we got to relook at the elderly exemption as well, because there's still an exemption we haven't implemented yet with regards to that, so.
I think that's gonna be all part of it,
Yeah.
too, Matt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do that.
And this is also, these are just the things that have come up now. I think the subcommittees are gonna make recommendations, and then other things are gonna come to the council too. So, you got a pretty stacked deck already for 2026. So I think if you guys wanna make some suggestions about, if you wanna have an initial conversation at the EDC and then have part of one of the September meetings, we can do it September, October, November, one meeting a month, still talk about tax rates.
Well, why don't we see how it works out with Mike in the summer? And if we can bump it up to the September meetings, we can maybe shuffle some things around.
Sure.
And move it around.
I was gonna say, as far as engagement goes, if the, I'm gonna say ECDC, EDC committee is gonna kind of follow up on this, as long as that gets kind of broadcast out to people, just like the meetings, and make it very well known, get it posted on social media, put it out there. You might see community coming to those meetings and engaging there.
That's what, yeah.
And then everything gets whittled down, so then we just have to deal with the basic facts and not all the confusion.
That's what I said.
You obviously weren't at our first meeting, Jane. This place was packed.
Oh, yeah, so many people.
Advertise.
So I just, in terms of,
Communication committee will help advertise the EDC.
in terms of what we can trim down, I think, like I said, using the subcommittees when we can, instead of bringing things to the full meeting first, as well as, I think there's some times where we, going forward, I think if we have presentations that a lot of times we don't know this stuff, and it's important to know this stuff, but if there's a presentation where we already kind of know everything about the organization, maybe we should table that to, when we're less busy.
Yeah, we'll work things around, just shuffle things around. Okay. All right, I have no future agenda. The only thing, Jamie, did you ever get that study in April about the sewer? Remember me and you talked about that? About the sewer waste going to Medway?
Is that about the sewer capacity?
Yeah, the capacity,
Yeah.
thank you, I was thinking of it right.
No, we have a follow-up meeting, we have a follow-up meeting with the town of Millis. Millis, just so you know, buys sewer from Franklin. I have a follow-up meeting with Millis in a month.
Okay.
And the consultant is giving us the number of what the modern-day value rate is of sewer capacity.
That's what we
Yeah.
were trying to figure out.
So, I'm trying to deal with Millis first, and then I'll go to Medway after that.
Yeah, we'll go to Medway,
Yeah, but
because
this-
he called me, so I
I'm
just
sure he
wanted
did,
to.
so I have no doubt. But I gotta find out the value of the rate.
Right,
Because you guys need, when you go into this discussion, if it happens with the other sewer customers within the district, you need to know the value of your sewer capacity, because we have an enormous amount of sewer capacity in Franklin that's permitted through DEP. Most other towns are completely at their max. So you have something that's extraordinarily valuable. Water and sewer for that matter, but that's besides the point.
It's called liquid gold. basically.
It is called liquid gold.
No, from what I talked with, I met with the head of the selectmen from Medway, and, they're ready to, and it will help us because we can maybe, will help the residents. We might not have to go up on their water and sewer rates.
Right.
We can, that's what we're trying to do. So, all right, so no executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait a minute.
So moved.
Second.
Non-debatable. I'm just looking at the clock, that's why I'm shocked. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.